Welcome everybody to another video of Ancient Greece Reloaded. Today we will talk about the famous Antenor, a wise counsellor of Troy before and during the Trojan War, as well as the founder of Patavium, aka Padua in Italy. By the way, if you like the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so as to stay tuned for upcoming videos. Antenor was a figure in Greek mythology who appears in the stories that are told about the Trojan War. Antenor was a Trojan ally, but of advanced age by the time of the war, and although he did not fight, he offered counsel to King Priam instead. It was commonly said that Antenor was of Dardanian royal blood, a son of Hesiod by Cleomystra, and a man who could trace his lineage back to King Dardanus, thus making Antenor a distant relative of King Priam. Nothing is recorded about the life of Antenor prior to the Trojan War, but it is stated that Antenor was wed to Theano, the priestess of Athena's temple in Troy. Antenor would thus become father to many children by Theano, for his sons were, depending on the source, Acamas, Agenor, Archelochus, Con, Demoleon, Evrymachus, Glaucus, Helicaon, Iphidamas, Laodamas, Laodocus, Medon, and Polybus, and there was also a single daughter named Crino. Antenor was also said to be the father of another son, Pedevs, by an unknown woman, although Theano would raise Pedevs as if he was her own son. In Greek mythology, Antenor's role was primarily that of an advisor, for he was named as one of the elders of Troy and a counsellor of King Priam. Consequently, Antenor was in Troy when Paris returned from his journey from Sparta, where he had taken both Helen, the wife of Menelaus, and the king's treasure. Antenor saw immediately the folly of Paris' actions, but neither Paris nor King Priam would do anything to correct the situation. Antenor is one of the earliest advocates of returning Helen and the stolen Sparta treasure to Menelaus. And indeed, when Menelaus and Odysseus came to the city to request the return of the stolen items, it was in the house of Antenor that they stayed. The words of Menelaus and Odysseus, even with the backing of Antenor, could not sway the Trojan council, and Antenor was in the end forced to intervene when it was suggested that the two Achaeans should be killed, an action which was considered of going against all of what was correct in ancient diplomacy. Antenor did manage to ensure that Menelaus and Odysseus were allowed to leave Troy unharmed. As the Trojan War continued, Antenor persisted in his assertions that Helen and the Spartan treasure should be returned. Moreover, two sons of Antenor, Archelochus and Acamas, would be leading Dardanian troops under the overall leadership of Aeneas during the war. Moreover, his other sons would also fight in the war. During the Trojan War, Antenor suffered great personal losses, for many of his sons were killed during the war. Acamas was killed by Meriones or Philoctetes. Agenor and Polybus were killed by Ptolemus. Archelochus and Laodamas were killed by Ajax the Great. Con and Iphidamas were killed by Agamemnon. Demoleon was killed by Achilles, and Pedevs was killed by Myges. Thus, only Evrymachus, Glaucus, Helicaon, Laodocus and Crino survived until the end of the Trojan War. The Trojan War, of course, came to an end when the wooden horse was wheeled inside, allowing for the Achaean heroes hidden within to open the gates which led to the sacking of Troy. The house of Antenor though was spared during the sacking, for above its door hung a panda's skin, and the Achaeans were told that due to his previous attempts to restore Helen, Antenor and his family were to be free from harm. During the sack of Troy though, both Glaucus and Helicaon, sons of Antenor, were lucky to survive, for it was the intervention of Odysseus who prevented both being killed by the Achaeans. Some later writers would claim that Antenor and his family were not saved for his previous hospitality or wise words, but rather because he was a traitor, even claiming that he was bribed to open the gates of Troy. These tales of course reflect the minority of such opinions, for as it was normally known that it was the Achaean heroes from within the wooden horse who opened the gates of Troy and held them open, so as to allow the other Achaean forces to gain access to the city. In the aftermath of the sacking of Troy, Antenor and his sons were amongst the few surviving men within the city, for Aeneas and his men had now departed from the citadel. Antenor took it upon himself to bury as many as he could. This even included Polyxena, a princess of Troy who was sacrificed by the Achaeans. Troy, after the departure of the Achaeans, was uninhabitable, and so Antenor would be forced to leave. Antenor and his family would join up with the Eneti, who were now leaderless, after the king Pylaemenes was killed by Menelaus. Antenor would thus lead the Eneti to Italy, where the new city of Patavium, Padua, was established. There are also a couple of other endings, but the previous one is the one most agreed upon. Let us finish with the following saying. It is a sign of stupidity to take too much care of your body. Epictetus. That being said, remember guys to hit the like button and to subscribe to our channel, it would help us a lot. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for upcoming videos.